A scientific investigation usually starts with an observation, that is, something that catches the scientist's attention. For instance, a cancer biologist might notice that a certain kind of cancer can't treat it with chemotherapy, and he wondered why this is the case. A marine ecologist, seeing that the coral reef of his field site are bleaching and turning white, he might set out to understand why. So how do biologists follow up on these observations, and how you follow up on your own observation of the natural world? So in this video, we will talk about scientific method, that is a logical problem solving approach used by many different field scientists. At the core of biology and other sciences lies a problem solving approach, that is scientific method. Here are certain steps of scientific method. First, make an observation and ask question. It is an identification of problem, and by deep observation the problem can be understood properly. The observation is made with 5 senses, and then you ask question about that things which you observe. Question may be how, what, when, who, which, why, or where. To get answer of your question, you have to follow next step, that is data collection. The deep observation helps to collect all facts and information about the work which have been reported by others. You have to use library and internet research, which help you find the best way to do things, and that ensure that you do not repeat mistakes from the past. You can use these resources to collect data, that is like background research plan, finding information, bibliography, and research papers. Now after data collection, you have to construct your hypothesis on the basis of observation and information which you have collected. So what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is an educated guess or testable prediction or tentative statement about how things works. Or we can say that it is an attempt to answer your question with an explanation that can be tested. Once you form a hypothesis, now this hypothesis is used to guide observation, and experimentation involves inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is what is from specific idea to general idea, and deductive reasoning is general idea to specific idea. So what this means, specific to general and general to specific. Now we will discuss some about detail. Inductive reasoning. Now the inductive reasoning is the isolated facts are used to reach a general idea which can explain the phenomena, and deductive reasoning involves general assumption and experimentation which help to make conclusions. Now experimentation. After the inductive and deductive reasoning, we have to perform experiment. So the experiment is the procedure carried out to prove something. Your experiment tests whether your prediction is accurate, and thus your hypothesis is supported or not. So conduct a fair test by making sure that you change only one factor at the time and will keep all conditions constant. You should also repeat your experiment several times to make sure that the first result weren't just an accident, and analyze your data and draw conclusion. Once your experiment is completed, collect your final results and analyze them to see if they support your hypothesis or not. If your result or your conclusion won't support your hypothesis, go back and repeat your procedure. Or for new hypothesis, the procedure is called iterate. Means the refining of new hypothesis if your hypothesis is considered wrong, or if your experiment or result doesn't support your hypothesis, and then you have to refine your hypothesis. So this refining or reconstruction of hypothesis, so this process is called iteration or iterative time. So we call this iterate. Okay, now next is theory. If your result or conclusion supports your hypothesis, so on the basis of conclusion, a theory is presented to the world which depend on true hypothesis, and then it is accepted or otherwise rejected by others. Now, law. When your theory is accepted and proved true, then it is considered a general principle, that is law. Here is an example of scientific method, that is failure to toast. Let's build some intuition for scientific method by applying its step to a practical problem from everyday life. First, make an observation. Let's suppose that I have take 2 bread slices and put them into toaster and press the button. However, my bread doesn't toast. So this is my observation. And then I ask question, why didn't my bread get toast? So after that, I propose my hypothesis that the toast didn't toast because electrical outlet is broken, and make a prediction that if something is wrong with the outlet, my coffee maker also won't work, and when I plug into it. So to test the hypothesis, I perform an experiment associated with my prediction. For instance, in this case, I would plug my coffee maker into the outlet and see the result. If my coffee maker won't work, then the hypothesis is supported, likely correct. If my coffee maker works, then the hypothesis is not supported, likely wrong. Let's suppose I made my conclusion that my electrical outlet works, but my toaster still won't toast my bread. So it means that my hypothesis is wrong. So I refine the hypothesis that my toaster is broken. From this point, the process would be repeated with a refined hypothesis. So, this point, the refined hypothesis or the repetition of all the process or to reconstruct the hypothesis, this process is called iterate. The types of study existed within the scientific method. There are several types of studies existing within the scientific method, that is experiments, descriptive study, case study, surveys, and non-descriptive studies. Now the first one is experiment. In an experiment, a researcher manipulates certain variables and measures their effect on other variable in a controlled environment or constant environment. Second one is descriptive studies. Descriptive study describes the nature of relationship between the intended variable without looking at cause or effects. Now the third one is case study. In case study, the case study covers one specific example in which something unusual has occurred. This is often done in very extreme or rare cases, usually with a single subject. Now, survey. Survey are used with large number of or large group of people who answer questions about specific subjects. The last one is non-descriptive study. Non-descriptive studies use correlation method to predict the relationship between two or more intended variables. So that's it. If this video is informative for you, so like this, share it and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.